matriculants who did a very stupid thing. They had a party last week, and 89 have come down with the virus, which means now a lot of those kids are not writing their final matric exams. They're going to write June next year.
Oh my word! What school are they at?
I think there's a variety. I'm not sure.
Southern suburbs.
No, there was another one. They went to the nightclub, some nightclub or something, end of the year party, and yeah. So they waste all year.
I don't think the Jewish schools were involved, were they? Was it? Yeah, was they involved?
I think there must have been a couple of kids. I'm not 100% sure. It's 89 though, down with the virus that we know of.
And now on the Eastern Cape as well. Another, there was a party there this week in the Eastern Cape. I just heard on the news now. Another 80 or 90 kids as well.
Stupid. I mean, they've worked so hard this year with lockdown to get the academics going, and anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, folks. Let's let me share my screen here. I'm sorry, it's not as nice.
Rabbi, you realize I have a new name. You realize I have a new name.
What's your new name, Barry?
Yilsom. Okay. I don't know where it comes. That's how I got on. It's fine. I don't care. Doesn't matter. It's a new name.
Okay, here we go. So we're in the second parsha of the Shema, and we are let's annotate over here. We've got some colors over here. V'samtem es devarah ele al levavchem al nafshechem. Place these words on your heart and on your soul. Ukshatem oisam leois al yedchem, and you shall bind them as a sign on your hands. V'hayu l'toitefos beineinechem, and there will be totafot is tefillin between one's eyes. So right. So we just spoke about the previous verse said that if you get tempted to follow your eyes and you serve idols, God's going to kick you out of the land. And now it says, and you should, put these words on your heart, bind them on your hand. So from here, Rashi says, let's see, the Rashi said, from here we see that even after you've been banished, make yourself distinctive by means of my commands. Put on your tefillin, put on your mezuzot. Not be novelties to you when you return. Similarly, does it state, set these up distinguishing marks even when you're in Gaza. So according to Rashi, it's the connection's important. What does this put them on your heart and your soul have to do with what came before it? Was because don't think once you get kicked out of the land, you don't have to keep the mitzvot. No, you do. Just to clarify, the mitzvot that we are obligated to keep outside of Israel are only the mitzvot to do with what's called choivas haguf, one's body, to do the mitzvot which are incumbent upon the individual, not those which are dependent on the land. For example, taking truma maestros, taking the tithes, etc. Okay, what does it mean to put these words, place these words on your levavchim, on your heart? What does it mean what does it mean to place these words on your heart and on your soul? So the Sforno says that the heart is the place of intellect. wherever we see in the Torah, take these words to heart. That means place these words on your heart, means intellectually contemplate them. On your nefesh, he calls is the ratzon. The ratzon means the desire. So one should intellectually understand them, be occupied with thinking about them, and one should want them. One should put them on to fulfill them with zest, with zest, with passion. The nefesh is the seat of the soul, is the seat of passion. Sorry, busy day over here. Okay. So that's the Sforno. That obviously we're reminded of the Sforno that came before, that said that how does one come to want something? To understand its benefit, right? How do you come to really desire this? All these words, all these concepts, this way of life, is to think that there's what's the language of the Sforno? The Sforno said, you should love God with all your heart. He said, how do you do that? He says, you should be happy to do it when it's good in your eyes, when you understand there's no greater purpose. This is the greatest purpose of life. There could be no greater endeavor for us to do, and therefore we can serve God with joy. We can live this way with tremendous satisfaction, understanding, appreciation. Okay, then it says, Ukshatem oisam le'oisal yedrim, put them on, this is the tefillin of the hand, and the tefillin of the eyes. And in terms of the simple understanding of the verse over here, it would go from, if it's in one's heart and one's soul, if it intellectually we understand it, if we are we emotionally are driven to want it, we're excited about it, then we should also place them physically on our arms and between our eyes. That's because that's the physical expression of this, and also a reminder. The next verse is V'limadatem osam es benechem, teach them to your children, that they should always speak about them. And then the verse after that is write them on the doorposts of your home. So we have all these reminders. There's a beautiful Alshich. The Alshich was a rabbi of Moshe Alshich. He lived in the 1500s. He landed up in Sfat as a student of Rav Yosef Karo. One of his students was Rav Chaim Vital, besides being a student of the Arizal. So he has a very beautiful explanation of all of this. He says like this. He says, the heart and the soul, he says, is the heart is one's desires, and the soul is one's body. That one should put these words, this understanding way of life, onto one's heart, meaning you should desire it. Va'al nafshechem, and on one's nefesh is the bodily force, the animal force within a person, and that's when one gives up, just like we saw in the first paragraph, when one gives up one's nafshecha, b'chol lavavecha b'chol nafshecha, we said you should love God with all your soul, with all your heart and all your soul. We said over there, the Talmud says, give up your life. Be willing to give up your life for this. It's so important. It's so precious. So says the Alshich, that it also means that over here one should put these words, meaning these words should be so ingrained, should be so much a part of us, that we are willing to give up our lives for it. That's b'chol v'al nafshechem. So he says, the Talmud says like this, that a person sees, person desires, and then one's limbs do the job. It's speaking about sin. It's saying that they are the providers of sin, the eyes and the heart. If we didn't have eyes and heart, we wouldn't sin. So he says that the relationship is that a person has desires. Those desires are kind of asleep. They're in sleep mode, like, computers in sleep mode. And then when you see something, so then that awakens your desires, that awakens your different desires. So he says, the object of Judaism is to become a person who desires to do the right thing, whose desire is to cleave to God, whose desire is to go in God's ways. Someone free from the lower base desires of this world, and rather attached to that which is truly important and truly worthwhile. So someone like that will only see that which speaks to that kind of life, to the life he wants to lead, right? What is the truth that we all don't like to face? That is the knowledge of the life we would like. We know we are capable of living, but we don't, right? It's the elevated, good life that would take a lot of effort and training to live that way, but we like to run away from it and say, that's not for me. So the Torah comes along and says, Ukshatem le'ois al, Ukshatem oisam le'ois al yedchem. You should bind these words as a sign on your arm. Now, the Talmud says, where is that? That's on the arm next to the next to the heart, right? We put the tefillin there, and the heart is there. It's a sign. It's a sign that the tefillin should be a sign to say, you know what's in my heart? These words are in my heart. That's what I want. And in that way, so this ukshatim osam le'ois al yedchem, that you should bind them as a sign on your arm, relates to b'chol levavchem. That relates to your heart. So your heart, that's the tefillin on the arm corresponding to the heart. Then we spoke about nafshechim. How can a person get to the level that they could devote their life so much so that, in extreme situations, they'd be willing to give up their life? Only if they are prepared to live on a level which is deeper than that which our eyes see. Our eyes are very important. Our eyes see the beauty of this world, but our eyes only see that which is physical. There's something beyond the physical. There's meaning, there's spirituality, there's concepts. The conceptual realm is beyond the physical. That's where the true life exists. That's what we should be. We should be. It's the inner eye, which sees and interprets the world according to its real purpose. So he says that's the tefillin. These toitafos beineinechem, the tefillin between the eyes it's a symbol. It's a symbol between the eyes that it's in between the eyes. I think he's saying that, I'm putting this here to show you I've got a third eye. This is my third eye. My third eye sees and interprets the world through a different lens, right? The Torah is what does Torah study do for us? Well, it tells us how to behave, what to do, gives us instructions for living, but it also teaches us how to see the world, how to interpret the world. That's the Panemius Torah. That's the inner dimension of Torah, is the set of glasses we wear, which allows us to see the world in its true, essential, deeper way. So the Totafot Beinei Nechim, these tefillin on the eyes, right, in between the eyes. Where's my right? So here we are, and you put your tefillin there, right? So those tefillin, the third eye is saying, this Shema Yisrael. What's in the tefillin? Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. And I commit myself to the mitzvot, and I love God, and I'll be committed to God. That's the third. That's how we can get to the level of Va'al Nafshechem. So Al Nafshechem, on your soul, the ability to give over one's life to this way of living, connects to L'Toitefes Bein Einechem. But before that, you got to get your heart right. You've got to understand it and want it. Once you understand it and want it, then you can delve into it and commit yourself to the level of nafshichem, and that's the tefillin of the hand and tefillin of the eyes. I thought that was a beautiful explanation of this verse. The Ramban, Nachmanides, hang on, sorry, I'm missing one more thing. Before we get there. So the Talmud comes along and says a very interesting thing. It says, the Talmud's always bothered by this word, v'samtem, to place. Normally, the word place is reserved for physical objects. You place a physical object in its place. What do you mean, samtem est devarai eile? How do you place words? Words don't have a place. So the Talmud comes along and it really interprets it. It makes what's called a drasha. It interprets it in a very interesting way. The Talmud says, there we go. Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, the sages taught, and you shall place these words of mine in your hearts. Read this as though it said, not v'samtem, right? That's the right? Not v'samtem, but v'samtam. Read them as samtam. The perfect. Now, a sam in Hebrew means elixir, a drug. So tam is perfect, complete. So this is the perfect elixir. This is the perfect elixir. The Torah is compared to an elixir of life. There's a parable that illustrates this. A person hit his son with a strong blow and placed a bandage on his wound. And he said to him, son, as long as this bandage is on your wound, it is, and is healing you, eat what you enjoy and drink what you enjoy, and bathe in either hot water, cold water, and you do not have to be afraid, as it will heal your wound. But if you take it off, the wound will become gangrenous. So, Okay. It's interesting. Hang on 1 second. Right. Okay. It's the next bit of the Talmud. Let's go there. Kach Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu LeYisrael. This is what? That's what we saw. So too, the Holy One, blessed be He, said to Israel, my children, I created an evil inclination, which is the wound, and I created the Torah as its antidote. If you're engaged in Torah study, you will not be given over into the hand of the evil inclination. As it is stated, if you do well, shall it not be lifted up? Right? One who engages in Torah study lifts himself above the evil inclination. So we have that message as well, and that's really the drasha. V'samtem es devarai eila, es devarim eila. Put these words on your heart, because by putting these words on your heart, you will be saved. You'll be uplifted. That's the beauty of Torah learning, is that we always get an elevation and we are uplifted through our learning. All right, folks, I need to run. We'll see you on Tuesday.
Thursday.
Today's Thursday. Yes.
It's Tuesday. Thank you very
Gotcha.
much.
Thank you,
Okay.
Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi.